When the fifth wave of U.S. Marines stormed the black sand beaches of Iwo Jima, a fleet of Sherman tanks rolled ashore to support their advance. But hidden among them were 8 machines that looked identical to the rest, yet concealed a terrifying and revolutionary secret. From the outside, you couldn't tell them apart, but these tanks weren't there to fire conventional shells. They were designed for a much more gruesome purpose, one that would turn the tide of the battle and be responsible for nearly a third of all enemy casualties. This is the story of a weapon so psychologically devastating, it forever changed the face of modern warfare. Before these monstrous tanks existed, there was the lone operator. The handheld flamethrower was a weapon of pure terror, capable of clearing an enemy bunker in seconds. But its incredible power came at a horrifying price. The operator had to carry a 70-pound pack of jellied gasoline and pressurized nitrogen on his back, turning him into a walking bullseye for every enemy soldier. The weapon's range was pitifully short, forcing the operator to crawl within grenade-throwing distance of a fortified position, completely exposed to enemy fire. On Iwo Jima, the life expectancy of a flamethrower operator was measured in minutes. An almost unbelievable 94% of them became casualties. The Marines desperately needed the power of fire, but they couldn't keep sending men on what were essentially suicide missions. The answer had to be putting the weapon inside a tank. The first attempt at this was a clumsy but necessary failure. Engineers took an M3 Stuart light tank, a vehicle that was becoming obsolete, and fitted it with a modified flamethrower system. They nicknamed it the Satan. On paper, the concept was a huge leap forward. It had double the range of the handheld version and offered the crew some armored protection. But in the brutal reality of combat, the Satan tank was deeply flawed. The Stuart's armor was too thin to stop anything heavier than machine gun fire, and the flamethrower system itself was notoriously unreliable, failing in combat nearly 40% of the time. Still, in those moments when it worked, its effectiveness was undeniable. The sight of a stream of fire erupting from a tank was enough to convince military planners that the concept was sound. The Satan tank may have been a failure, but it was the proof they needed. A well-armored, reliable flame tank would be an unstoppable force, and with the invasion of Iwo Jima looming, the race to build it became a top priority. What American engineers created next was a true monster hiding in plain sight. They chose the M4A3 Sherman as the base, a tank with thick armor and a proven battle-tested design. The project was immense. Each conversion required 200 man-hours, 150 pounds of welding rod, and over 1,000 electrical connections. They replaced the main 75mm cannon with a powerful new flame projector, fed by a massive 300-gallon internal tank of napalm mixture. This new system could hurl a torrent of liquid fire over 150 yards for a continuous 80 seconds. But the most brilliant part of the design was its deception. To the enemy, it looked exactly like a standard Sherman. There was no external clue to the horror it contained. A Japanese gunner wouldn't know which tank to fear most until it was far too late. This new weapon was a deceptive predator, and it was about to be tested against what was considered the most perfectly defended island on the planet. Iwo Jima wasn't just an island. It was a fortress carved from volcanic rock. For over a year, 21,000 Japanese soldiers had meticulously transformed the 8-square-mile island into an underground death trap. They dug 11 miles of interconnected tunnels, thousands of hidden caves, and 2,500 concrete pillboxes with interlocking fields of fire. Their commander, General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, was a brilliant and ruthless strategist. He knew there would be no rescue and no retreat. He gave his men a chillingly simple order: do not die before you have killed at least 10 Americans. This wasn't about winning. It was about inflicting such horrific casualties that America would abandon any thought of invading mainland Japan. When the Marines landed, they were walking into a carefully prepared kill zone. Preliminary naval bombardments had raged for 74 days, but they had done almost nothing. The Japanese defenders were safe in their tunnels, waiting patiently to unleash hell. As the battle began, the regular Sherman tanks and their cannons proved ineffective against the deeply entrenched Japanese positions. Shells bounced off reinforced concrete, and machine guns couldn't penetrate the narrow firing slits. That's when the 8 Flame Shermans were finally unleashed. The first one, call sign Flame 431, was called in to help a pinned-down Marine company. It advanced to within 100 yards of a key pillbox that had halted the entire line. A Japanese 47mm anti-tank gun fired, and the shell ricocheted harmlessly off the Sherman's thick frontal armor. In response, the tank spewed a 15-second torrent of fire. The burning napalm clung to the concrete, seeped through the firing slits, and engulfed the position, silencing the guns inside forever. Within hours, all 8 flame tanks were in action, systematically moving from one bunker to the next, erasing them from the battlefield. For the first time, Japanese soldiers who had sworn to fight to the last man were seen breaking. They panicked, abandoning their posts in sheer terror as the flame tanks approached. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical destruction. The Japanese soldiers were terrified, but their resolve was not entirely shattered. In their desperation, they devised a disturbing and sacrificial counterattack. Soldiers would strap high-explosive charges to their bodies and make suicidal runs at the American tanks, attempting to become human bombs. The Marine infantry protecting the tanks cut down most of them, but some got through. On March 11th, a lone Japanese soldier managed to sprint through a hail of gunfire and reach flame tank number 438. He detonated his charge against the tank's rear engine compartment, killing 3 crewmen and destroying the precious machine. It was a terrifying reminder that the flame tanks were not invincible. The sheer destructive power of these tanks was not lost on the Japanese command. General Kuribayashi himself sent a frantic report to Tokyo, admitting that the enemy's special flame tanks were inflicting more damage than all of their artillery and naval bombardments combined. It was a stunning confession. He knew they had no effective way to stop them. After 30 days of the most brutal fighting the Marine Corps had ever seen, the battle for Iwo Jima reached its horrifying climax. The remaining 3,000 Japanese defenders were cornered in their last stronghold. 6 of the original flame tanks, now reinforced with 4 new ones urgently shipped from Hawaii, prepared for the largest coordinated flamethrower assault of the war. 10 tanks advanced in a single line, a wall of steel and fire. They moved from one cave opening to the next, drenching the entire area in a final, blazing inferno. In the course of a single day, they fired over 8,000 gallons of napalm mixture, breaking the last organized Japanese defense line completely. The fires they started burned for days. Deep within the earth, secondary explosions from ammunition stores rumbled, a grim final testament to the chaos unfolding underground. When the battle was finally over, a haunting silence fell over the blackened island. Of the 21,000 Japanese soldiers who had defended Iwo Jima with such fanaticism, fewer than 200 were taken alive. The rest were entombed in the very tunnels they had dug. The flame tanks had fired over 360,000 gallons of fuel during the battle, and every surviving Marine agreed that without them, the already horrific American casualties would have been unimaginably higher. The effectiveness of these 8 tanks was so profound that the military immediately ordered the conversion of 70 more. They were being prepared for the planned invasion of mainland Japan, a final battle that, thanks to the atomic bomb, never came. The flame tanks of Iwo Jima remain a chilling testament to the brutal innovation of war, a weapon born from desperation, forged in fire, and destined to haunt the nightmares of all who witnessed its terrible power. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into military history. We'll see you in the next one.